In this session, we're going to discover how you can avoid feeling depleted, burnt out, and exhausted, especially during those times, at the end of the year, and instead know how worthy you are of really pausing so that you can celebrate you. Here in this session, we will discuss what it means to celebrate you in this modern world, especially the importance of embracing your feminine, your sensuality, which is your essence, your truth, and resting and pausing to celebrate you and how far you have come. And this is something that we don't generally do in our fast-paced modern world that we live in. So really, sometimes it's more about doing less, which is actually doing more for you so that you can replenish rather than feeling depleted and exhausted and depressed because you can't keep up with all the commitments that you probably are always trying to fulfill. So are you ready? Are you ready, sister? So if you've been feeling physically drained and emotionally depleted, especially at the end of the year or at the end of a menstrual cycle, for example, when you are going into your menstruation, I want you to know that you're not alone. And you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to think that you are alone in this. Life can sometimes feel like it's this never-ending uphill emotion, especially when we're always trying to achieve and do more and be more. I want you to do something different. Instead of feeling like you haven't achieved enough or done enough, try and reflect on how far you have come and celebrate that you are here today. Celebrate that you're here in this moment and celebrate that you're even listening to this. Sometimes we do forget to celebrate the small steps we've taken in our lives. We also forget to celebrate the achievements in our own spiritual journey or our inner healing, even if they are so small. Life is not meant to move fast. We are here to really savor each moment and know how it really feels to be right here in this present moment. And breathing and really dropping into your body, that is the essence of everything. And knowing that there is always beauty, there's always goodness, there's always bliss available to you in each moment, even when it feels really hard. And if you still can't bring yourself around to celebrate you today, I want you to know that you have the power. That you have the power to change your experiences and your reality. Not just for the new year, by putting in a New Year resolution and then that's it. No, I want you to celebrate. I want you to stop achieving, stop goal orientating, and really just take a moment and savor the moment that you're in right now. That's how we celebrate, and that's how we move forward into achieving or magnetizing our dreams and desires. We need to know how to really come into the present moment first and know that you are a beautiful, flourishing being. So this year, when the year began, as I reflected on what was in the past, I was really celebrating my transformation and unlayering to discovering more of my beautiful, empowered, true feminine essence. Last year was very much about purging and the emerging of what was previously stagnant. And I really feel like I'm ready for something different now. Something that's more incongruent and in alignment with my feminine and my body. So again, if you feel depleted, if you feel defeated, this is so normal, especially coming towards the end of any cycle. I know I'm talking about the end of the year, but it can be the end of any cycle, really. We are so programmed to believe that success and achievement is a really tangible and outward thing. And the more we get done, the more we achieve, the more we prove, the more we think, well, we are successful then. But this is nothing less than an illusion. And I know you know what I'm talking about, because even when you feel like you've achieved something, there's always something missing, deep, deep down within. There's always this feeling of more. There's always this feeling of like you're not content. And you know what? I'm all for tangible things, but what's more magical and what's really more meaningful is what happens within your internal world when you bring whatever arises and really be with that and really be with all of you. That's where the magic happens. So it's the unlayering of your ego, the path that you walk that is full of love, the way you listen, the way you receive people with no judgment, the way you place boundaries with love, how your relationships flourish each day. To me, these are the most wonderful achievements that should be celebrated every moment. And so it's all these other elements, these virtues that I believe should really be brought to our acknowledgement and really be celebrated. But unfortunately, as we know, they are not qualities that are appreciated in this modern world. However, when we know that these are really important qualities to our own transformation, then we know we have the power to change. We have the power to change our reality. And again, as I speak about the end of the year, I want you to know that this can apply to any cycle that comes to an end. So whether it's your menstruation, your menstrual cycle, at the full moon, at the winter solstice, or even at the end of your menstruation phase and going into your next initiation, which is menopause. These all signify an end of a cycle and offer us such a wonderful opportunity for change and transformation to occur. But I'll go into that again further in another post, so stay tuned for that. So at the end of any cycle, we tend to set this really high standard for ourselves, and with a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure that goes with that also. We start this year or we begin our month with so many expectations and desires, as though we didn't do enough the previous year or the previous cycle. And I don't know, in my opinion, I find that really exhausting and depressing as well, because really we never really come to an end result. We never really arrive at anything. So there's something important that I want you to know here. If you end your year, for example, or your monthly cycle, and you're feeling quite overwhelmed and exhausted, which is how we tend to finish each cycle, especially if we're not used to being connected to what our body is trying to speak to us about, and we tend to go into this overdrive. Well, this is sort of how we set the tone for the next cycle that we enter. But if you feel really nourished and replenished and rested because you're allowing yourself and you're making that a really important thing in your life, then you meet your cycle, you meet your new cycle or your new year with more grace and enthusiasm and clarity, and even a certain glow about you. And hand up if you want to have that glow that you're deserving of. And if we're in really, really involved in this really fast-paced world that we're so used to being in, and we don't allow ourselves to go into this state of stillness and quietness and replenishment, then it's really difficult to allow ourselves to move into the next phase of our life, feeling inspired and creative and connected to our feminine essence. It's really difficult. But I do understand how difficult it is to also rest. In this modern, overwhelming world, it really does prioritize doing, moving, achieving, doing more. How much more can you do? How much more can you achieve? How much more can you get done? And this really brings an illusion that the more you do, the more you receive. The more you do, the more you're successful. The more you do, the more you're considered worthy, of this place in society. But what if you knew that you were always worthy, you were always belonging, you always have a place here, you always have your own path, your own purpose in this world. And what you do and how much you do does not define your worthiness. And this is so important for women to understand this, because yes, women are different. We come to this world functioning different. As long as you have a womb space, you will always function differently to a man. Because in this world, basically, what we're trying to do is function the same way that a man can. And because we cannot keep up with them, we may think, well, we've failed, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or what's wrong with me? I've seen this time and time again, and I've even felt it myself, especially in a company. When I was working, I felt it. I saw how women just always felt exhausted and depleted, and how we felt that we didn't know what was wrong. We see men, they just keep going, and then you just feel really bad about yourself, and you feel almost guilty. And then that's when this vicious cycle occurs of feeling guilty for even needing time to rest or time to pause. So this idea that, you need to do more to prove yourself, I can't stress enough how much this is just an illusion that we've all been brought into. So please don't think you have to do more to prove your place in this world. Instead, I ask you to be more kind to yourself, especially when you're feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed, and which brings you into a state of confusion, or like you're sort of lost, I suppose. And let me tell you, as a woman, this idea of achieving and, all these goals in place and constant moving uphill does not serve us one bit. We women encompass, as I was saying, this magical energy of your womb space. Whether or not you have a womb physically or not, the energy is still there. And what this energy does, it really brings about our cyclical, rhythmic nature. This is our essence. We are cyclical beings. Therefore, when we deny this wonderful aspect of our feminine nature, then that's when we feel like we're working against the grind, right? We're almost spiraling down. We're losing control, basically. Well, that's when we end up feeling depleted, exhausted, blocked from inspiration, disconnected from our bodies, not feeling sensual, not feeling sexual. But this doesn't have to be the norm. I can relate it to like trying to force a plant to grow. So imagine overwatering the plant, and then what do you think happens with that plant? Well, it dies, right? Or it wilts. And you can think of us as women as the plant. We are nature, we're not separate. So what do you think happens when you overwork? When you're in constant motion, this never-ending motion, in this constant overdoing, overcommitting? Well, I don't know, you probably feel a sense of darkness overcome you. And like I was saying, that's when you start to feel confused, like you've lost control. And as long as you're really working against your own flow and you're not acknowledging and embracing your own rhythmic nature, well, yes, you will end up feeling exhausted. Your most thriving state is in your feminine energy. That is sensual and in constant flow. This is where you feel most creative and inspired. You know, as women, our bodies are innately designed to experience sensuality in every way, in the form of spirituality, emotionally, mentally, physically. And when I speak about sensuality, I'm not talking about the preconceived or distorted views of sensuality as being sexual. We've really sexualized this word. And again, this is an illusion that has disrupted the real meaning of sensuality in this wounded, over-masculinized modern world. You know, I love talking about sensuality. As if you know me, you would know that this is what I feel most passionate talking about. And I feel in order for a woman to really thrive in this world, then sensuality is her medicine. And it's something that we've really pushed to the side. Sensuality it's this beautiful essence of a woman, really. It is her ability to be in her truth, in her essence, her most authentic form. So sensuality is about being really intimate with your sensations of your body. Really intimate with the sense of, you know, hearing, movement, touch, your emotions. So it's this level of sensitivity to the way your body speaks to you and your willingness to really tune in and listen to it. Your body is always speaking to you. And this intimate expression occurs in your natural feminine flow. Not the structure, not through the planning, not by using the logical mind, not by thinking of an end result. So when a woman can connect with her body in this way, in a really sensual way, in a really connective, intimate way, well, this is when she becomes alive and she allows all of her life force to move through her. She moves away from numbness. She moves away from feeling exhausted and depleted. So sensuality really is your beautiful, magical ability to balance your feminine, which is this playful, creative, intuitive, flowing, pleasurable state. Along with, we can't forget about the masculine also, the focused, strong, directive, intentional energy. Because without this masculine energy, which has the ability to hold our wholeness, there is no sensuality, there is no movement, there is no flow. So when we engage in sensual practices as part of our daily rituals, such as movement, journaling, singing, breathing, flowing, surrendering, letting go, receiving, connecting with your womb center, connecting with your body, well, this is when we experience freedom, clarity, and the natural energy of receiving, which is very much the feminine energy. This is what we need to celebrate. This is what we need to bring into our everyday lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we don't need to have plans or goals, but we really need to know that we need to balance that with our feminine equally. And the feminine is what we must celebrate. It's all those beautiful virtues of the feminine. And the masculine will just help us move with it, will hold all of it. So the medicine for our feminine is ritual, right? And this is how we can celebrate also ourself, our essence, our trueness, our wholeness. I love making rituals as part of my daily practice. And when I speak about rituals, I don't mean some elaborate thing or having to run around the jungle naked. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. But no, it's really just carving out space from your fast-paced, busy day and really creating space away from distractions to honor and celebrate your feminine, all of your senses, your body, your heart, your womb. And here is where we bring in the magic, because we're really bringing our presence to all of this. And this is when we get to connect with something deeper than what's in our physical reality. We get to connect with spirit. We get to listen to our intuition. It becomes louder for us. And we also realize the essence of everything in life, which is love. And that's what we need to celebrate. So I invite you, if you're listening here, if you can, to just take some time out in your day today, even if it's 15 minutes, because, I mean, if you don't have 15 minutes, then why are we living, right? Just 15 minutes, just to be with yourself, to engage in an intimate ritual, to be with yourself. Remember, it doesn't need to be anything fancy or elaborate. It's just a little time for you to be with you, because you are deserving of that. You might want to light a candle to invoke the intention. Put some music on, something that will allow you to really be present with yourself. Maybe smell some delicious incense or flowers or essential oils, and just be with you, your beautiful self, in this sacred pause. And think about how you're going to celebrate yourself today, not tomorrow, not when you've achieved whatever is on your list, to-do list. No, right now. Why are you celebrating you today? Who are you celebrating today? It has nothing to do with what you're doing, how you're doing. No, we're just celebrating you for being you. Your most sensual, feminine, beautiful, loving, flourishing you. So, when you've done your ritual today, please share in the comments, or share in the comments how this is landing for you today. I'd love to know. Share with your sisters. And maybe in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what it is about you that you're celebrating. And share with all of us so we know. Brag about yourself so we know why we should celebrate you too. We don't really have the opportunity in our everyday life to celebrate us as women. So now is your chance. Now is your opportunity. Open that door for yourself. I'm offering this space for you, because we are all here to celebrate you. Sending lots of love to you. Big kisses.